and welcome to or back to my channel. So as you probably have guessed from the title, I will be doing a little tack box tour of all of my tack and other things that are in my tack box. Most of this is tack that I have made, but there are a few items in here made by other very talented people. So first up is the lead rope compartment. So basically these lead ropes are pretty simple. They're usually just a piece of string with a hook attached to the end of it. I do have a few twisted and braided ones. This one is one of my braided ones. I also do have these unfinished projects in my lead rope compartment. One is just a braided piece of embroidery floss, and the other is an unfinished rope halter. And to be honest, I don't think it's gonna be finished anytime soon. I also have this little Valentine's Day neck rope. It originally had 2 wire hearts attached to it, but they fell off at one point. And here are some ancient lead ropes from my very early days of tack making. I think I can say I've definitely improved since then. And this is another lead rope from my early days of tack making, which is also quite unrealistic. But yeah, pretty straightforward for this first section. I've actually made quite a few halters in my lifetime. It's kind of my thing that I do, so there is definitely a lot to go through here. This is one of my very first halters I made. It's definitely not realistic, but it's really cool to see where I started out in tack making. This was my second design, which looks more like a halter. This one had more structure to it and had a working tongue buckle. This was sort of the improved version of the last design. It even has a tiny little tag on the side, which is really cute. This one's basically the same, but with thinner ribbon. A few months after, I learned how to make padded halters, which was really cool to add that extra detail. Also with painted halters, I like to add some stripes to it and stuff. This is a painted and padded halter, but for whatever reason I forgot to add the fluff to the headpiece. This is a painted halter as well, and it has 3 stripes and a tiny little Norwegian flag. Moving on to a different type of halter, I believe that this is the first rope halter I've ever made. I made it using DaisyStalls tutorial. I will be linked in the description of this video if you're interested. I also made one out of an elastic cord. This is a braided one that I was going to do a braided noseband on, but that didn't work out. Maybe I'll finish it sometime though, I don't know. Moving on to leather halters, this is, I believe, the first leather halter I've ever made. I think it's actually quite good for a first attempt. I also made this one, which is a draft leather halter with a little bit of a different buckle. And then there's this one, which is falling apart, and the buckles are just too big and awkward. I did a tutorial on this one along with the leather halter. I think it's a pretty cool type of halter. I like how it turned out. I made this one a while ago, but it's still one of my most favorite ones. It does have a buckle on each side and a tiny little tag, which I absolutely love. This is a padded leather halter I made, and oh my goodness, I forgot to put a fleece on the crown piece for this one as well. This was another padded halter I made for my friend in Europe. We did a trade together, and this is probably one of the most detailed halters I've ever made, and I love it. This is a recent leather halter I've made, and I actually have some for sale in my shop right now if you're interested. The link is in the description. Now this thing was so difficult to make, but in the end I did manage to finish it. But now that it's on this horse, it's staying on, because no way am I taking that thing off and putting it back on again. This was actually a halter from a seller on Etsy. I had bought a retired horse from them and they were nice enough to include a halter in the package, which is very nice. I made these neck ropes back in the summer. I think one is in my Etsy shop for sale. I'm not totally sure if I still have it listed. These are just very simple tinsel wreaths I made for Christmas. One has a bow attached to it. They're just very cute Christmas decorations for the horses. And then this. I made this and I am in love with it. I think it's so cute. Comment down below and let me know if you want a tutorial on how to make this. I made this bridle, I think it is, quite a while ago. Anyways, it's interesting. Speaking of interesting, I think this was my first ever bridle that I made and I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. This was a English bridle kindly gifted to me by MyBlueOakStables. I think it's very well made and I love the color. I think this was the first proper English bridle I had made. It took quite a long time to make this and I was super proud of it at the time. This was my first Western bridle. The buckles are kind of large on it, which I don't like very much, but it was my first Western bridle, so I can't be too hard on myself. Now, this bridle was made quite a while ago, but it is still one of my most favorite bridles to this day. It is a Syringa side pull bitless bridle, I believe it's called. I just really like all the details on it, and I made a few other colors as well. I did also make a really nice green one, but I sent it off to one of my friends in Europe, so I think I need to make another one like that for myself sometime. There is definitely not much to show for this section because I haven't really had the courage to make a lot of saddles in the past, but this was the first one I ever made, and it's certainly interesting. This is the second one. It was kind of more just a test with some fake leather I had, and I did not like how it turned out. So I just never finished it.
What is that?
These are some boots gifted to me by my friend a few years back, and they are really nice. I like the Christmassy fabric on them. These are some Western saddle pads I made quite recently, and I really like how they turned out. I think they look pretty nice. These are some wonderful blankets that my friend also gifted to me a few years ago along with the boots. Again, I just love the Christmas fabric on these. Now, I have made a few blankets in the past, but this was the first proper blanket I've made. It is way too long and short, if I'm explaining that right. But I think I did a good job in everything else. This one's a bit better in length, but it's still too short, unfortunately, and it does have a lot of glue spots. I did start this one, but I never finished it for whatever reason. I guess I just lost interest. I didn't finish this one either. Gosh, I have a lot of unfinished projects. But this one is like so stiff for whatever reason. I guess because I glued fluff to it, maybe. This is the most recent blanket I've made and I am in love with it. I love how it turned out. It looks really nice. The shape and length is pretty good on this one too, which I'm very happy about. I also added a little tail flap to this one, which I think is really cool, and I'm surprised it turned out how it did because I've never done something like that before. Now we've come to my most favorite part of my tack box, which is my tack sets. So first is this Western saddle pad from my Western set. This is the saddle from the set. I'm honestly super proud of it. I've never made a Western saddle before, but I think it turned out great. And I made this little breast collar for it as well. I do have a video on how I made the whole set. If you want to go check that out, it will be linked in the description below. I also made a trail cinch for the saddle. I didn't like the first one I originally made, but I like this one a lot better. This is just a simple little Sherpa seat saver for the saddle that attaches to the horn, and I really like it. This is a bridle I made for the set. It's just a very simple Western bridle, but I really like how it turned out. I'm not sure if I actually showed this in the tack set video, but I did make this halter for the set as well, and I think it's one of the nicest halters in my collection. I also made this really thin rope halter. It's one of the thinnest ones I've made so far. And the last but certainly not least part of this tack set is the saddlebags and bedroll I made for it. I really like how these turned out. I had actually made a set of saddlebags before these ones, but I actually lost them in Norway, so I had to make another set, and I like these a lot better than the original ones. Moving on to the second set, this is made by my very talented friend from Europe. We did a trade together and this is what I received from the trade. So it came with a green saddle pad, a brown leather jumping saddle, and I love how realistic it looks with the rear rondo stirrups and everything else. Like, look at this crazy detail. And of course there is a bridle in the set as well. I honestly think it's amazing how thin the leather straps are, and I just love all the tiny details on this one as well. And last but not least is the martingale. The last section in my tack box is mostly just random things. This is a lead rope I made quite a while back. This is a little flag I made for 17th of May for my little photo shoot. These are just some Schleich people I have. And I actually repainted this one, but her face got all weird and sticky. I don't know what happened there. It's strange. I also have this guy, which is actually from a Jurassic World set, and he's almost fully posable, which makes him really nice for taking photos in Schleich scale. And then I also have two dolls from Boss Fight Shop. This is the first one I customized, and I don't really love how I customized her, and the clothes are not the best. And then I have this second one, which I like a lot better. This one has real hair, and her clothes look a little better. And these are just some extra parts I have for the dolls. Now that this video has finally come to an end, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I know it's longer than my videos usually are, but I hope you still enjoyed anyways. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. I would really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your holidays, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!